Most people operate from a baseline of chronic exhaustion. We navigate our daily lives as if we're moving through a dense headwind, relying on constant effort, grit, and the feeling that we have to manually push our way through every circumstance. When we hit this limit, we tend to describe the feeling as being disconnected. We assume we've lost our link to a sense of purpose or some deeper universal intelligence, and that we need to find a way to plug back in. Yet, if that connection were actually severed, the biological system would simply cease to function. The same intelligence that coordinates your cellular repair and regulates your heartbeat continues to move regardless of your mental state. You are a structural expression of that movement. You cannot be separate from the force that is currently generating your breath. This suggests that our suffering isn't caused by an absence of connection. It's caused by internal resistance. We are experiencing the friction of a system that is actively fighting a current already moving through it. Within this framework, we call this generative movement the universal current. It operates as a literal, intelligent flow that structures both the physical architecture of your body and the intuitive reaches of your mind. Consider the relationship between a wave and the ocean. The wave is not a separate entity trying to find the water. It is a specific, temporary expression of the ocean's depth. Its entire shape and momentum are determined by the upward pressure of the currents beneath the surface. Friction occurs when the surface of the system attempts to move independently of that underlying momentum. When we try to force outcomes through sheer willpower, we generate an opposing vector that creates turbulent static, clashing with the deeper direction of our own evolution. The work is not about building a bridge to a distant source. It involves identifying and dismantling the internal architecture that is currently acting as a dam. This architecture of constriction is our default operating system. It was built for survival, designed to navigate a world perceived through the lens of scarcity and chronic background threat. Under chronic stress, the system contracts. Energy pulls inward, funneling into a tight loop for threat management. We rely on hypermentalization to solve every variable, quickly hitting a processing bottleneck and system overload. This sustained pressure creates fractures, and vital energy bleeds through constant resistance. Forcing a constricted system to work harder only increases the rate of depletion. Lasting change requires a shift in the underlying structure, moving toward the coherence the current is already trying to establish. Shifting paradigms requires us to trade forceful control for a structural practice of allowance. We have to stop bracing against the movement of our lives. This involves the deliberate cultivation of space and stillness. These are enabling conditions. They quiet the high-frequency noise of survival mode so that the subtle, intelligent signals of the current become perceptible to the system. The analytical mind is often too busy projecting anxieties to notice real-time shifts in the environment. Genuine intuition, however, operates through a much wider field of awareness. When the current moves through an open channel, it arrives as a sudden, physical certainty. You register a direction or a solution in your body before the thinking mind has even gathered the evidence to explain why it's correct. By lowering the volume of the survival mind's chatter, we reclaim the bandwidth necessary for this guidance, a level of intelligence that accounts for variables the conscious mind has not yet encountered. As the resistance in the system drops, the markers of flow become observable. Creative blocks dissolve into a sense of being carried by the work, and physical or emotional patterns that seemed stuck begin to reorganize toward health. We see the most visible proof of this alignment in synchronicity. This is a perfectly timed convergence of events, the right encounter or the necessary resource appearing at the exact moment the situation requires it. While these moments seem like accidents from the surface, they are coordinated from a deeper level. The current is orchestrating reality on a scale that exceeds individual planning. Synchronicity is simply what happens when your personal movement is finally in phase with that larger orchestration. When you stop obstructing the flow, the universe organizes connections with a level of precision that isolated human effort cannot replicate. Your physical state provides a constant diagnostic of your relationship to this flow. Chronic numbness or fatigue indicates systemic constriction, while a sense of being fully alive and responsive confirms you are in alignment. Moving into this state requires a structural surrender. This is the act of releasing the specific control strategies and defense mechanisms that have become outdated. It is a decision to stop bracing against the very intelligence that sustains you. Releasing that grip is a progressive process. Trust in this new way of operating is built through experience, by noticing that when you create space, outcomes become more coherent than when you were trying to force them. The universal current is already moving within you. It is simply waiting for you to stop forcing, to open the internal space, and let that intelligence finally express itself through your life.